Newcastle and England winger Anthony Gordon has been one of the most underrated players in the Premier League this season. He has the Magpies' joint most Premier League goals and assists this season with 18, and interestingly 11 of Gordon's 19 goals and assists in his black and white career so far have come against the traditional Big Six. And the best thing about the 23-year-old is that alongside his solid output for this season, he has offered much more to Eddie Howe's side. One of his most useful tools is his ability to generate constant threat whilst dribbling. He leads Newcastle's progressive carries ranks by an absolute landslide, and when looking across the entire division, his chances created following a take-on number is third, behind only Phil Foden and Jeremy Doku. Therefore, it is no surprise that he has also won the most penalty kicks this season in the league. To further hit home about the sheer level of threat that he carries the ball with, no Premier League player this campaign has had more attacking 1v1s that have led to a goal within the next 10 seconds than Gordon. And as discussed on our recent exclusive with the former Everton player, he's a fullback's nightmare, as he and Gary Neville speak about how he attacks the fullback's back leg when they're defending side on.
What was most difficult for me when a player was running at me was, let's say I was standing there, you were running at me, is if you ran directly just there. Yeah. I always say, run directly there. Yeah. Because at some point I'm thinking,
you have to stick that leg.
Yeah, and it's like that one, or I'm going. And it's like sometimes I think wingers make it easy for a fullback because they'll go there too early, or they'll go there too early. So if you chop it inside too early, I can just go like that. Yeah. But if you take it right up close to my leg here, I'm sure, and you do that quite a bit. You aim for that leg, don't you? You really direct and go for people, don't you?
Yeah. So that's another thing. My angle of approach on a 1v1, a lot of it is the same. Where I think if I come at you on your left leg,
yeah.
You're either going to have to commit to one side at some point, and then it's how fast can I react to that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And either way, I feel like I'm quick enough to beat you, so it doesn't really matter to me.
This is something that Gordon has massively developed since he broke through. When going 1v1 now, he's not as eager as he used to be in terms of bursting and breaking past his opposition fullback. He gets closer and closer to his man without committing his speed, using jittery movements to keep the defender guessing, dragging them into close contact, waiting for them to plant their back or front foot to commit to one side, and his reaction time clicks into gear, shifting the ball to one side and striking through brilliantly. As discussed again in our exclusive with Gordon, his versatility and development in different positions that he's taken up this season has been incredible, and this is one of the strongest reasons as to why he should be on the plane to the Euros this summer. Versatility is massive in major international tournaments. Having the ability to affect the game from any position against a better opposition is a great tool to have in your arsenal, going into a format where your options are so limited.
And you mentioned obviously like the competition. You're in a part of the pitch where obviously Phil Foden can play, Marcus Rashford can play, Jack Grealish can play. I probably just named three. There's probably 4 or 5. Do you have an edge in the sense that you can play all across the front line? Some of them can as well, but you can play sort of like say 8. You can play 9. You can play obviously on the left, and you can play on the right. Do you think that's something that will be a factor that could go your way? Obviously, Gareth's got to pick a squad in the next month or two.
I think so. I think versatility in a tournament is massive. Like you said, a lot of them lads can do that as well, but I feel like I've done it a lot this year, especially in big games, and I think that matters. I've done it in big games where I've played out of position and still performed.
Gordon actually played centre forward at the under-21s Euros. Despite initially struggling, he went on to win Player of the Tournament, as England went on to win the competition as a whole, with the forward fashioning new ways to use himself in central areas without his back to goal. And we've already seen it so far this season. Towards the back end of their clash against Chelsea, Gordon was used as a number 9, and his intelligence in this goal was outstanding. He hangs on the back of the centre-half, Benoit Badiashile, then instead of showing for the ball just in front to receive it into feet, he curves his run around the face of the defender, slipping into the channel and dragging the Frenchman into trouble. This position is where Gordon can really hurt you, in an isolation 1v1 scenario. He edges towards the goal using that jittery movement, the defender plants the foot, and Gordon shifts the ball onto his other foot, and it's 4-1. His ability to play so many roles in a system isn't the sole reason he belongs in these conversations though. This season, in comparison to fellow English wingers who are also in contention for Gareth Southgate's squad this summer, he has the joint second most assists, the second most progressive carries, the second most successful take-ons, the second most carries into the final third, and the 4th most overall chances created in the Premier League this season. And we can't go through this entire analysis without touching on Gordon's out of possession work. Off the ball, he he is one of the best forwards in the Premier League. Positional discipline when it comes to tracking his fullback, non-stop sprinting from back to front, combativeness in his defensive duels, and most importantly, tenacity within the press. His overall mindset when approaching 1v1 situations against his fullback is extremely unique. When speaking on how he approaches them before a game, it's interesting to see how he talks about not letting his fullback beat him with the ball. Despite him being an attacker, he doesn't want to give any player a yard against him. He understands the psychological battle that he's locked into with the fullback, regardless if he's the one on the ball or not.
How do you look at an opponent that's strong, he's rapid, he's experienced? How would you look at that and think, how do I win this duel against him?
Well, first of all, I'd look at the mental side of it and try and beat him psychologically.
What would that be?
As in, if he's running past me forward ways and I've got to run back, I will match him so that he knows as well as me he's in a tough game, regardless of if I play well or not. He's going to have a hard game.
And it's this level of work ethic and mentality that makes or breaks the best forwards in Europe. We've seen players like Mohamed Salah, Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden and Sadio Mane in recent years offer just as much for the team on the ball as they do off it. And Gordon has this level and dynamic to his game, knowing when to press following a trigger and knowing how to press smartly by running at players' blindside. The data further backs up his mentality. He's applied the 3rd highest counter pressures, has won the 5th most turnovers, and despite being an out-and-out winger, he has the 12th most pressures out of any single player in the middle third, and the 13th most pressures out of any player in the attacking third in the Premier League this season. Gordon, Newcastle, and especially Eddie Howe fit like a glove. Gordon himself believes that the jump up in his performance and output this season in comparison to previous campaigns is down to the style of play, maximising the qualities that he has in the system, and that was something that he definitely struggled with when at Everton. We all know the Magpies are a transitional and direct attacking team. They want to play fast, they want to play with unpredictability and penetration. When defended in a mid-block, they're looking for regains to spring in attack, and when you compare that style to what it demands of its forwards, you instantly think of Anthony Gordon. Dangerous when carrying the ball, can score and assist, can go either side of the fullback on the dribble, is one of the fastest players in the Premier League, and his off-the-ball movement, especially in the channels, is of the highest quality. Anthony Gordon and Eddie Howe's Newcastle United have been a match made in heaven so far, and who knows how far Gordon could go in the rest of his Premier League career. But the question is, do you think Gordon deserves to go to the Euros with England this summer, or do you believe that the young winger has still got a lot to learn?